96, the Howl. For the uninitiated, this is an unedited YouTube vlog discussing everything Arizona Coyotes, and we're almost there. Just 10 more games. Can you believe it? Just 10 more games of just experiencing this hockey that we watch. That's about one win in the last 7 games. Those 6 losses all in regulation. All those 5 of those 6 losses against teams ahead of the Coyotes in the standings, and across a whole season, the Coyotes are 3-14 against teams above them in the standings. I'm talking about Minnesota, Vegas, and of course the Avalanche. 3 wins out of 17 games. I mean, that's pretty brutal for any season. I know this season was obviously a strange one given the amount of times you're facing the same opponents. But to go 1-6 against Minnesota, there's one more game left in the season series Wednesday night. I mean, these losses are hard. I don't know what it is about Minnesota. They're not usually an elite hockey team. This is one of the very few seasons where Minnesota is a dangerous hockey team and not mediocre and not the mild, as the meme is. So maybe you just take these games differently when you see them on the schedule as opposed to, the Avalanche or maybe the Knights. But the Coyotes have had some little success against the Knights. A lot of those games are close sometimes. The Avalanche is just a breed of its own. But the Wild, you go in as a fan, you go into each game thinking, the Coyotes can do this. They can go toe-to-toe. And they do for a short periods of time, or just the first 2 periods. But the Minnesota Wild, they just know how to just execute on very short offensive time that they're given. They're lethal. That's about it. They're just a lethal team. They don't really circle around your offensive zone so much. They don't carry the puck a lot, but once they just set up in your zone, they just love to shoot right away. They don't like to make the pretty play. They get shots on net, and their players are in perfect position. That first goal on the early penalty taken by Chychrun, the goal where it was just a tic-tac-toe behind the net of Kemper, up to right in front of Kemper and in the back of the net. Those are just highly skilled plays that, aren't taught. It's a lot of talent on those types of plays, and the Minnesota just know how to execute it. They have confidence in the offensive zone, and these are all things the Coyotes are trying to get to. But for the Coyotes, it's just very futile efforts offensively for the Coyotes. They'll shoot a lot. They'll get a lot of O-zone possession, but they just don't know what to do with the puck. And the Minnesota Wild were a great defending team last night, not giving the Coyotes much grade A chances, and the very few grade A chances that they gave the Coyotes, like a blatant pepperoni pizza right in front of Cam Talbot, like Tyson Nash likes to say, right to Christian Fischer, who roofs it for his first of the season. Great to see Fischer get his first goal of the season. Even though there's 10 games left in the season, it's better that he at least gets 1 goal. But other than that, the Coyotes could not generate their own grade A high danger scoring chances. It was just, pitiful shots from the perimeter, cycling around the Minnesota zone and not generating much out of it. And the Wild just always lethal no matter the time of game, whether it's a first period, second period, or they have a lead in the third. They're just always looking to score and execute their offensive plan. Moving on from that, we got 2 players still in Talkett's doghouse, with Jordan Oesterle, who hasn't played in 5 straight games ever since that 7-4 loss to Vegas, and Derek Brassard, who has been scratched 3 out of the past 4 games. I thought Brassard would have would have played last night against Minnesota with Tyler Pitlick's injury, who was probably out the rest of the season. So obviously sad to see Pitlick go early, about 10 games early to end the season. I was liking Pitlick's game. I was liking that line with him and Dvorak and Krause, but with Pitlick out, I expected Brassard to draw in. But Talbot decides to go with John Hayden once again, who's just a black hole on that 4th line. He was paired with Michael Bunting and Christian Fischer, which I didn't like because was he? I think it was Peterson. He was paired with Peterson and Bunting. Fisher was promoted to the Dvorak and Krause line last night. I liked the Tucson Roadrunner fourth line from Saturday night, where it was Peterson, Bunting, and Fisher. I thought they had a lot of energy. They gained some momentum for the team at times where the team was looking for momentum. But with Pitlick's injury, Talkett decides to promote Fisher to that Dvorak and Krause line, and then put in John Hayden with Bunting and Peterson. And whenever Hayden is in the lineup, John Hayden, that fourth line is never going to generate offense. It's just a waste of a roster spot. And with a team that just started for offense and looking to get points and is fighting for a playoff spot, I would have preferred if Brassard was there in place of John Hayden. Maybe have a Brassard, Peterson, and Bunting line. That line sounds exciting. Sounds like they could put the puck in the net. Yes, you have two centermen there on the fourth line, but maybe they could rotate draws. Peterson and Brassard can. You know, if one face-off guy's not feeling it that night, you could rotate it out. Just get some offense in that bottom six and just not have a guy like John Hayden where you're limiting his minutes anyways because he's a grinder and a fighter, basically. So you want Bunting and Peterson to get on the ice more, but if they're paired with a guy like Hayden who doesn't see a lot of ice time and who cannot generate offense, their ice time's going to get limited too. And you have Bunting who scored like 7 goals in 10 games. Why is he on the fourth line paired with John Hayden? A lot of head scratching. The short leash line, second straight game they've been put together. Sure, they passed the eye test, but they kind of lost the game for the team. Last night, they had a turnover right at the offensive blue line, which led to Jordan Greenway's goal. And then immediately after that, Clayton Keller takes a penalty, and then the Minnesota Wild score on that following power play. So that's about 2 goals right away. It was a 1-1 game, going to 2-1 and then to 3-1. And then from there, the game was kind of lost at that point. Speaking of the short leash line, they've been ghosting. I was worried when I made that 40-game progress report video that the short leash players and Dvorak were trending in the wrong direction and trending in that consistent, inconsistent play where they ghost for long stretches of time. And it's true. Keller, Schmaltz, and Dvorak, they all have 3 goals each in the last 15 games. And Garland has only 1 goal in his last 15 games. Just those are your top guys, your top offensive guys. They're on fire near the beginning of the season and middle of the season, and then it's just been really quiet on the goal-scoring front. Sure, they got assists here and there, but we really need those guys to score and put pucks in the net. And just for comparison's sake, you got Phil Kessel, who has 7 goals in his past 15 games, so he's averaging, half a goal per game, which if each of those short-leash guys were doing what Kessel was doing, this team would be winning a lot more games and pushing a lot of games into overtime, and their offense would be more lethal and a lot less flaccid than what we've been experiencing the past couple of weeks. So we got that one more game against Minnesota Wednesday night, and then they got a couple California games, and then mixed in there is 2 Vegas games. But other than those 2 Vegas games, it's all California teams, and it's actually just only LA Kings and San Jose games because they finished their Anaheim Ducks season series, and they finished their St. Louis season series. So it's just one more game against Minnesota. It's been their kryptonite all season. The Minnesota Wild have been. They're just outmatched by the Wild, and it shouldn't be like that. They got a rookie coach, I believe, in Steve Emberson. Is that his name? It might be his name, but what this new coach has done for the Wild, just re-energize the team. It's getting the team to play a full 60 minutes where they don't take a lot of shifts off, and if they have a bad shift, 1 or 2, it doesn't stretch through the whole period or whole half a period like the Coyotes would tend to do. They regain their momentum quickly, and they know how to stop the bleeding quickly, and they just love to go and love to play North hockey and just are so dangerous in the offensive zone. And they don't seem like a type of roster that is elite and dangerous like the Avalanche or the Golden Knights, but they all play hard and they all put in 100% effort every night. And like Rick Tocchet says, there's not a lot of passengers on that Minnesota Wild team, so it's very rare to catch them on an off night. Maybe they'll catch them Wednesday night, but the Coyotes need to play much better. And hopefully it's not as such as a miserable game Wednesday as it was last night. So that's it for me. Thank you for watching. If you like what you see, spread the word. And thank you for your support.